on social influences. The first part will deal with groups as multi-level systems. Groups could be considered as a part of a multi-level system that can have an impact on group performance. Every group consists of individual members and the group as a whole, both of which play key roles in group performance outcomes and level of functioning. Costa et al. State that trust in teams resides at multiple levels of analysis simultaneously, is subject to factors across levels and organizations, and impacts performance and other relevant outcomes both at the individual and team levels. At an individual level, each group member comes to the group with his own unique set of characteristics related to a variety of areas, including personality traits, skills, and motivations. These factors can play a pivotal role in the success or failure of the group, the direction the work takes, and the degree of influence the individual has within the group. At the group level, the focus is upon the norms, degree of cohesion, patterns of communication, and roles of individuals. All of these aspects and the ways in which group members interact play a role in determining group outcomes related to decision making and performance. Through these processes, a team personality is developed, where the individual personalities within the group take on a social and sociological aspect. Interpersonal interaction processes and patterns of communication have as much to do with the emergence of team-level personality, resulting in the fundamentally different group structure that is both a dynamic and interactionalist of the team level. The contextual considerations at the group also play a key role in the outcomes. Groups are influenced by secondary factors such as the norms of society, culture of the organization, and the social environment. In this way, they do not exist or perform tasks in isolation, and it is these external factors that shape the context of the group or the external situation the group is operating within. The cyclical relationship that exists between the various aspects that make up, surround, affect, and maintain the group work to create a feedback loop that represents a dynamic set of interactions. The functioning of the group is a complex push and pull, input and response relationship that revolves around a feedback cycle. Learning flows between individual, teams, project, and organizational levels to feed forward and feed back directions, but not always in a linear function. Finally, groups are not flat, static, uniform, and non-changing entities. They differ not only in terms of intention, structure, and makeup, and other considerations such as size, varying from one group to another in a great variety of ways. Gardner and Quigley state that there is something to the notion of group personality, whereby groups seem to differ in personality-like ways. Some groups are more helpful, for example, more conscientious than others, whereas other groups are generally more outgoing and gregarious, for example, extroverted. It is imperative to consider the multidimensionality of groups in order to study and comprehend the complexities that make up, relate to, and affect group performance. Within this framework, there are 5 included elements of group members: group tasks, group interaction, group output, and group context. Group members makes reference to the individual skills, motivational levels, backgrounds, and personality traits that make up the unique characteristics of each group member as an individual. Group tasks can vary in terms of type and complexity and relate to the particular undertakings of the group in terms of activities, goals, and objectives. Group interaction includes idea sharing, conflict resolution, collaboration, and feedback, and refers to the relationships that exist and communication with the group amongst the members. Trust becomes an important factor here as people choose whom they will trust in which respect and under which circumstances based on what they consider as being evidence of trustworthiness, which in turn affects how much they contribute and in which ways. Group output includes decisions made by and creative ideas and products resulting from the group's efforts. This aspect directly reflects the level of effectiveness of the interactions and processes of the group, as groups with higher levels of trust have been linked with increased capacity of team members to work together more effectively. The group context includes the social norms, available resources, constraints in relation to time, and the culture of the organization, reflecting the external factors that can have a profound impact on the group in a variety of ways related to resulting effectiveness. These five aspects interact continuously and dynamically and will effectively shape the degree of group effectiveness overall. Damour et al. Argue that dynamic established between professionals is as important as the context of collaboration. We need to look at the whole picture in order to better understand that effective group work situations. For example, if a diverse group of teachers with a wide array of experience and expertise and creativity in their group members are working on a challenging school-related student-centered task, that's the group task, due to the diversity of group members and challenge level of the related task, rich discussions, group interactions, may result that can lead to high quality, effective solutions. This is the group output. In addition, if the group work occurs in a setting that facilitates and encourages support of group members, that's the group context, the effects of that support on the group output can be very positive. Understanding these elements and the ways in which they interact is key to promoting, fostering, and supporting effective group performance and responding to group needs. The input of the individuals and processes of the group cannot be separated from the group outcomes. The efficacy of problem solving, levels of creativity, and the capacity for effective decision making are just a few of the aspects affected by these process-related multi-level components inherent of groups. Part 2. Describe a theoretical framework of performance. Understanding these groups as multi-level systems provide a theoretic framework for understanding the performance of the group. A breakdown of the various aspects that affect the performance is as follows. Social identity theory purports that a sense of self-esteem, identity, and efficacy can result from group memberships. The social identity theory states also that a sense of identity and self-esteem results from memberships of a group. An understanding of the ways in which group members identify with their related groups can result in influences related to group collaboration, cohesion, and dynamics. An example of this is the creation of a strong group identification in order to enhance levels of group performance through the influencing group motivation and commitment. Increases in levels of trust within the group can lead to positive increases in team interaction, where research has demonstrated that members who experience high trust initially were more willing to share information and accept influences from team members, which in turn sustained the initial high trust, as compared to members who experienced low trust initially and subsequently engaged in behaviors that reinforced the initial low trust situation. Trust begets trust, and mistrust begets mistrust. Trust yields higher levels of collaboration and cooperation, which is the ultimate goal in working towards effective groups work solutions. Group cohesion relates to the amount of solidarity and unity that is present in a group. Collaboration as a term conveys the idea of sharing and implies collective action oriented towards a common goal on a spirit of harmony and trust. Increases in communication and collaboration can arise as a result of increasing cohesiveness that can lead to higher levels of effective task performance. Some of the ways to increase cohesion are through supporting interpersonal relationships and creating shared goals. Groupthink can occur when the interest in conformity and group harmony is greater than the desire to risk appearing separate, different, or divisive. The result is that of poor decision making, as creativity and innovation can become stifled when diverging opinions are not supported or are even suppressed. Social loafing and facilitation relate to the ways in which the presence of others either hinder or enhance the performance of an individual. Social facilitation occurs when the presence of others enhances the performance of an individual, while social loafing relates to the tendency overall of individuals to reduce individual effort in the presence of others. In order to optimize group performance, it is crucial to understand these extremely influential dynamics. The IPO, or input process output model of analyzing the performance of a group, comprises of three component parts: input, process, and output, as the name states. The individual group member characteristics, task nature, and context of group and task are encompassed by the input portion. The process portion includes the group dynamics during the task execution stage. And finally, the output portion encompasses the results of the entirety of the efforts of the group. This system is useful in undergoing a systematic evaluation of the processes and outputs through a closer look at the influence of inputs. The motivation and performance theories work to explain the factors that motivate members of a group. Learning the aspects that motivate people, including factors related to intrinsic or extrinsic motivators, is important as a mechanism for best structuring tasks and interactions with the goal of optimizing the performance of the group as a whole. Finally, innovation and creativity theories aim to explore the role that creativity plays in affecting a successful group work environment. Practices including an appreciation of diversity in approach and collaboration-based brainstorming have the potential to lead to innovations in approach, but the key is to ensure that a safe work environment is fostered where individuals within the organization and group feel safe to express creativity. The capacity for understanding the success and the operation of groups lies in a theoretical approach that considers not only individual and group, but also contextual factors. An accurate understanding of these aspects has the potential to lead to a more comprehensive understanding of group effectiveness, including the capacity to design meaningful interventions towards positive enhancements in this area. Part 3, providing two personal examples of co-action and audience effects related to group performance. Co-action refers to a situation where work on a task occurs independently and in the absence of direct collaboration or interaction, yet it remains simultaneous. Work performance can be affected by the presence of others, with increases of this phenomenon in situations where the context involves tasks that are more complex. Co-action involves factors related to independent contributions. Each member works on their own part, and the parts are combined for a final product. It includes performance influence, where the performance can be enhanced when others of similar capabilities are also working on the same task. And it has task complexity. This is best with straightforward rather than very complex tasks. Co-action differs from collaboration because group members are not directly involved with one another in the idea generation and collective work phases. I feel the most compelling example of this is found in my workplace as a secondary school teacher. Although not often considered, as it has become so normalized in our culture, the entire functioning of a high school is that of a co-action group project that continues in perpetuity as new students enter in and leave the school. Based on our own areas of expertise and interest, we work together to provide all the courses necessary for student success and do not collaborate greatly laterally or across the same grade level in doing so. Collaboration occurs when students move from one grade to the next through the inclusion of expected learning outcomes that each student must learn in order to be successful. One teacher knows the areas to teach in order to move the student on to the next grade in the same subject area in the same way that the same teacher depends upon the previous year's teacher to ensure that the student is prepared for their own class. In this way, I would argue that this grade to grade, moving from one grade to the next approach is more collaborative, but the same is not true across the same grade. For example, across all of grade 11. The science teachers are likely largely unaware of the aspects being taught by their colleagues teaching in the arts, and this support for specialization allows the students to be taught by instructors that specialize in the area in which they teach. The students come out of grade 11 or 12 with the knowledge and learning they require, while other teachers have worked together in a co-active manner, separate but together, towards the same goal, to reach a particular goal, that of teaching all areas of the curriculum to the students so that they can pass that particular grade and eventually graduate. Audience effects are the influences based upon the presence of others that can affect the performance of an individual. A variety of factors influence these effects, including the difficulty level and type of task, the expertise level of the individual, and the individual group dynamics. Types of audience effects fall into a few categories, including social facilitation, that's the presence of others and to enhance the performance on a familiar or simple task. Social inhibition, that's performance levels can decrease and on unfamiliar or challenging tasks when the individual fears judgment. Task complexity, simple tasks yield higher performance levels while more challenging tasks yield lower performance levels. And audience type, that's supportive versus critical audience, can either enhance or decrease performance. And group dynamics, whereby the efforts of the audience can also be affected by norms, relationships, and cohesion that can result in negative or positive effects. An example of this that is evident very regularly in my classroom is that of audience effects related to student engagement in speaking. The enthusiasm level of an audience can be, unfortunately, greatly affected by the social status of the speaker. Due to the reliance of teenagers on peer groupings, this is an especially important and difficult challenge at this particular level and age range. The socially accepted youth that are part of one of the various in-groups will most often receive more positive feedback, higher levels of engagement, and more overall support than their outgroup peers. Generally, already nervous for that outgroup, this adds to their anxiety and can cause a reduction in performance success as they take in feedback from a critical audience. Their in-group peers, however, while likely also anxious initially, will be given more presentation grace, acceptance, and see higher levels of interest and engagement in their presentations. The result of this second situation is that of higher success rates in performances and presentations as anxiety dissipates and students are better able to present effectively. Finally, this leads to our conclusion. In summary, the effects of others in a group setting can result in increased or decreased performance, while the context considerations can either hinder or enhance a group project. It's not enough to simply put people together and hope they succeed in working together. Instead, we must ensure we understand the nuances of the individuals, the group, and the context within which the group is working and functioning. Only through the greater, broader understanding of these aspects and components can we work to affect positive outcomes through meaningful support and intervention.